Well, that was really helpful to me and I hope to others.
I don't know if you wanna. I'm gonna have to leave, for a 1 o'clock meeting. I have a staff meeting at 1 o'clock.
I've got a 1 o'clock also. so
We're supposed to have
12:30, yeah.
Okay.
I am disappointed that Byron wasn't here to hear all that because I think that would have been helpful for him too. And
I'm more than welcome to have a conversation with him if you would like to sort of
Okay.
go through some of that.
yeah, I mean, I just feel reluctant to. Since this has been such an ongoing discussion with the reluctant to do the recommendation without him here, but. It sounds like Nancy, you think that we should move it forward. JLD, I'm talking about.
Yes. Particularly after this discussion and with Susan's input too. I think it's time for us to decide what we're gonna do. And I don't know if you're available for our next board meeting, but if you could be there to talk about in particular your opinion and what, what you
I'm
think we
happy.
got from Dean.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful to the board.
Is this policy on the next agenda or is this?
It
can be.
Is that Tuesday? This
October 28th. October 28th.
Oh, that's Tuesday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
next
Tuesday. Okay, yeah.
Time is
Tuesday.
flying.
Yeah, it sure is.
But we do need to make the decision about how we're gonna present it, and whether or not we're gonna eliminate parts of it.
And then the conversation too about JZAB and what changes to that.
Oh, Zach, are you trying to say something?
Yeah, I just was one thing I think in terms of thinking about Attorney Morel's contribution at the board level. I think I missed the conversation on the front end with Dean, but I would guess that there was some dialogue around privilege and how to approach privilege. And so I think we might want to have some conversation with Susan about in regards to this particular issue. In other issues like this, to what extent what would be appropriate is not necessarily in public session having this type of dialogue, but having a non-meeting with counsel with Attorney Morel with the board in advance of the meeting. Because I think we put ourselves in a position where we relinquish privilege if we put that out in the and put Susan in a situation where she's at the podium. And I think that's a very different conversation. I don't know if she could comment on that.
I will, I would very much recommend that we do this in a non-meeting, non-public session,
With the whole board.
with the whole board, so I can do a report back from our consultation with council on these two policies at the next school board meeting and do it, prior to the formal meeting, if you want to do that, so I'm not
We
sure
already
it's a
have two
process.
items in the non-public, so maybe we could go to the meeting in
Time.
November. Do you think we
Well-
could do that?
Zach,
That-
what
that was
was,
just- I was just gonna say, oh, go ahead.
we had non-meeting with council scheduled at 5:45 to 6:15. What was that for?
We're on
Um,
recording.
Oh.
Yeah, well, we can circle back around and maybe we can work through, that was a different
Issue.
topic.
Okay.
That was not this. So,
Maybe we should wait until November and then, that would give us time to. at
Get
least-
Byron involved.
Yeah.
I think.
And then
that's a
make
good
the
idea.
formal recommendation, I mean, another month isn't gonna.
We've waited long
Well-
enough
I
now.
know, it's another month.
Okay,
and I just want to say one thing for people for the members of the public, and I know we don't have people on now who might view the recording. I think what's really important for people to understand is that's not to hide the conversation per se. It is the board has the opportunity to meet with legal counsel and ask questions. And it gives the board the opportunity to have those, have a question and answer session in a way that doesn't create additional liability for the city. And so it's not a matter of being overly secretive. It's about being responsible in relation to the city's relationship to both its citizens and to around these particular topics, making sure that public officials are as informed as they possibly can be in order to make the right types of choices.
Our meeting in November is November 18th.
And I think our policy meeting is before that, so.
Oh, right.
Actually could be great. if We just.
Okay,
want-
oh, yeah,
Or-
policy meeting is the November 12th.
Mhm.
Yeah, so maybe we put this on the policy agenda one more time.
Once
Oh,
more, good luck.
I hope we're all there and. Let's not forget. Yeah, and and then we make our final recommendation to the board with the non-public before that meeting to explain. Okay,
And I would just say, looking at what else we've got here on the agenda and the time.
Yeah.
And knowing the depths to which we're gonna probably plumb on some of this, we probably don't wanna start anything else.
I think you might be right. Yeah, we only have 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Was flum the verb?
Is there anything that's sticking out there that you?
Well, I think-
As a side,
Paula and I were just saying, I think maybe we need to add another meeting in between. To at
Yeah,
least,
because there's a lot.
and they keep coming, and our concern is that
I think
the
that's
fall
really
up, the fall update's gonna come out, and that's gonna be another plethora of policies.
Exactly. And I think some of these, I do think, I think some of these will be fairly quick, but it might be, I don't think it would be a bad idea.
No, because I'm seeing that it's like the laundry basket. Yeah, it's overflowing now.
Mhm.
I do some laundry.
In the meantime, though, in our next 10 minutes, is there a conclusive answer on what happens when we have a policy that fails first reading? What is the way to handle that?
Well, so generally if, and I think I talked about this before.
I know it
if it's-
did, and I feel like, but I
it's a
feel like we didn't need a
discretionary-
concrete answer, so.
I think it's,
Yeah.
it's different if it's a sort of a legislative initiative of the board
Mhm.
versus a state mandated action.
Okay,
So I looked at it differently. So typically there is in Robert's rules and in the city council rules that if you bring up a matter, and I think I used the, residential parking as an example, if you bring up some legislative proposal that is not adopted and it fails to pass,
uh-huh,
generally you can't bring that back up again in your same session of that sitting city council.
okay, so it's the same.
Yeah.
Okay, because the concept of never bringing it back again didn't seem to make sense, so I think I missed that part the first time, but that's helpful.
So, I mean, and that is, because you're trying to get the business of the city completed, so you
Right.
don't wanna continue
Right,
to
but-
debate something that's been debated and failed.
Yeah.
So it could come up again in the next city council.
Yeah.
They could bring back the same initiative and see if it succeeds
Mhm.
with the new council members, but, there are exceptions to that. If a person voting in the majority reserves the right to make a motion or you can sit, there's all kinds of Robert's rules have,
Okay.
layers and layers to it, but I think in this particular case, you're talking about debating the policy that's mandated by state statute, which is different from your own legislative initiative.
Okay, so the difference is whether the policy is mandated or not, because we do have some policies that are recommended, but not
Right.
required.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would approach that differently if it was.
okay,
Just a
and when they are mandated.
Then
They can just keep coming back.
Yeah.
Okay,
Tweak it, and clown up, add some.
Give it a little more thought.
Yeah.
okay.
Seek legal advice as you've done.
Mhm. Okay. That's
so
helpful,
with
and then
first
when-
reading, it can be, if it fails, it can be brought back again. At another meeting, at a future meeting. How many times can it be brought back and fails? Is there a
Well-
limit to that?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, after,
3 or 4
you've,
times?
you've all, no, I would say you've all sought legal counsel, you've taken, a step back and you've looking at it. So now you make another decision and then I would leave it, whatever your decision is going to be. And we'll
Leave it.
have to.
You mean
live
leave
with the
it.
Consequences of your decision.
So you're saying if it fails again after seeking legal counsel, then we just,
I mean, it would be
Okay,
pointless. You'd just be wasting time.
right,
Right.
yeah.
And you are gonna be a new board.
Sure.
Quote unquote, even though you don't all turn over, it'll be a new session of your board. Come January, so.
Okay. All right, and then in the case where it's not a mandated situation, it just dies the first time.
Yeah,
It doesn't-
I mean, you shouldn't be talking about the same thing over and over again for 2 years. You have a lot of other business as this agenda would
Okay,
suggest.
well, that's really helpful, thank you.
Are we gonna set a date for another policy committee meeting?
Let's say one, I was just say one quick thing on that, just before we leave that conversation. I think, and I think Susan would agree, so then when you have a situation where you're like, I don't know that I'm in favor of moving this forward for additional conversation. I don't know that I want to kill it for the long term. I mean, that's when tabling becomes a good option. And being like, where we don't really know where we're at, or we want to refer it back. And I think I don't think that the concept of this idea of like we didn't vote for something on first reading. I don't think people have fully understood that if that happened, then there's a possibility that it can never return, not return for a certain period of time. So I think that's another good thing for us procedurally just to think about as we go forward.
Although, when we table things, we table them to a specific date.
Okay,
Correct. Yeah.
That goes with the rules, so. You don't table it into, the cloud.
yeah,
Some abstract, thought, but, you would table it to a specific date. So if you wanted everyone to have a chance to digest it, think about it,
mhm,
and then continue on without taking a vote, you could table it to a specific date or table it to get more input from
Yeah.
the committee or council or whatever.
so, and you could make changes to it in that time, or not? Like, if it's tabled, could it go back to the policy committee, for instance, and
Yeah.
then?
You could direct
reintroduce
it back.
different-
You
What?
could direct it back
Okay,
to the policy committee
but
for
that's not the same. as-
review and suggestion.
That we do sometimes. Okay. Excellent.
If you're just tabling it, you wouldn't be working on it. It would just be
Or
sitting.
just be waiting. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so between now and November 12th. We have 2 Wednesdays. I will not be here on the 5th. The one before that.
29th. Do you want to do the 29th?
I can do that if others can. So, or we can choose a day that's not a Wednesday. if-
Oh, okay.
But. Maybe y'all think you want to come back in a week?
Sure.
Yeah, we could do it in a week, yeah. Okay.
Oh, you know what? I can't do that day.
Oh, okay.
I have to take my son to Boston to go see Sabrina Carpenter.
That'll be fun. Yeah, we can actually. Okay, well. What's the next best day of the week for you, Patty?
Oh, yeah, my schedule was a
Those
mess.
days are out.
November 3rd.
That can work for me.
What, 11 o'clock?
And if we start, because then we've got. Well, if we go 11 and 12:30, we've got agenda planning, and then 1:30, I've got teaching and learning. Can we start at 10?
I can start at 10 on November 3rd.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll check with Byron and make sure he can do that too.
10 to 11:30 and try to get through some of them.
Now, do we need do we need Susan at that meeting, or would we prefer to just have Susan at our board meeting?
Well, I got the impression that these two policies are the real critical issues for.
Yeah,
you,
I think
but
legally there, I don't know that we have legal questions about. Any of these others.
And
You
The
think so?
policies have a lot of flexibility for that. I think it's more conversations about what do you want in the
Right.
policy as a board?
Right,
instead of what can we put in there? Because these have a lot more
We can
flexibility.
reverse it too, and just do these on November 3rd.
Just do the eyes.
No, the JVAB and JLP.
Oh,
No, we could do that.
Oh, okay.
that's
Do,
true.
do that on the third and then do the others on the eighth, on the,
Yeah.
whatever the next one is.
12.
12, okay.
Yeah, that way we've got time to
Sure.
talk to
And
fire.
it's fresh in our minds. and
Yeah.
everything.
Okay, let's
That's a
do
good
that.
idea, Paula. Thank you.
Like that.
10 o'clock on the
10
third?
o'clock.
Yes, so does that mean we do need Susan?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay,
But I'm taking you off the 12th.
okay.
You won't need me on the 12th.
And then how about our board meeting? Wouldn't we like Susan at our board meeting
Well, at least for the,
for that policy, for those policies?
but at least for,
The
we're
18th.
gonna do a non-public first.
Oh, right, they're not for the non-public. sorry.
Yeah, on the 18th.
Yeah.
And hopefully all the questions will be answered in the non-public, but we could also
So
go
when
with the
you-
policies to the beginning of that meeting. If we wanted to. And just try to take that on.
Yeah.
But for there still.
Do you generally do your non-public starting at 6?
6:15. Depends on if there's anything else we.
I like that we've had to give it a full hour.
I think we need to.
That's probably why.
Because we have 15 minutes for today and it took us over an hour, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, because.
And you're gonna
everybody
have
has
3
questions.
times the people here, so yeah.
that's true. That's true.
So I will put it in my calendar for 6.
Thank you very much. All right. I think we're good. Zach, did you have anything else?
Nope, I gotta jump off and run anyway. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for being here despite feeling miserable.